Did you know that traumatic events that happen in your life lead you to make up meanings about yourself and meanings about others and meanings about your life in general? I'm Susan Kennard. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. I wanted to talk to you today and offer some thoughts around how these events, these traumatic events, lead us to decide things about ourselves. And then when we decide those things about ourselves, which are not true, we then play that out in the rest of our life, in our relationships, in our beliefs around what is possible for us, in obviously our financial situation as a reflection of that. And whether we feel we can put ourselves forward for things. Are we good enough? Do we feel skilled enough? Do we feel that we can be heard for what we want to say? That we can be seen for what we want to say? And do we feel worthy of love? Do we feel worthy of being recognised? As I'm going live today, it's actually the new moon in Leo. But we've been in the throes of that energy for a little while. And if you're listening to this after on the replay, then we are still being affected by this incredible new energy. Many people think that we step from 3D to 5D overnight, and we really don't. You know, it really is a process for us to be able to understand more about who we are. And with that, you know, with that, so I'm just turning this off so that I can join you if anyone joins live. You know, it's a bit like when people talk about ascension. So when we talk about ascension, we don't just drop one day that we're not in an ascension frequency and then the next day we drop into an ascension frequency. It just really isn't like that. But each time we heal something about us and within us, then our external world changes. So therefore our frequency changes. So therefore we are experiencing more of this high frequency ascension, but more of this high frequency within our lives. So I wanted to just offer some thoughts and tell you about a private client that recently I worked with, just to show you how events happen and how they lead us to make a decision about ourselves. So I work with this person. I'm just going to call them a person. I'm not going to give names, obviously, or ages or anything. And they were having some difficulties in letting go of a relationship because they felt very upset, very in need of this person, etc., etc. And so I did a really powerful process with them, which is called Cutting the Ties with Forgiveness, which will be in my book coming out very soon, Awaken the Light Within Your Heart, but also is on my self-study program, which is called Awaken the Light Within, and it's on my website, susankennard.co.uk. So this process essentially allows us to cut the ties across all the timelines, all the lifetimes, karmically in the Akashic records, but also within this lifetime. And what happens with this process is that it accesses the part of us as well that triggered these belief systems. So what happened while we were doing the process was a particular childhood aspect came forward. And the reason why I'm smiling is because it's a really exciting outcome. So essentially, this particular childhood aspect came forward, meaning a memory came up. And I said to my client, what event led you to believe this about you? And the belief was that this person was not worthy of love. So what they were doing, and I'll tell you what the reason for that was in a moment, but what they were doing was holding on to something so that they could feel love, even if it was just a minuscule amount, because this other person just, was not ready for that commitment. But they felt absolutely devastated and depressed and so on, because there was this event that happened to them when they were much younger, where their parents divorced. And it led them to feel the perception of that event was, I'm not lovable. And I also don't know where my place is. I don't feel safe. I don't know which home I'm going to live in. I don't know where my loyalty is. So there was a lot of confusion there. So it makes sense that then this person would attract, frequency wise, situations that were playing out that role. And so that role as somebody that was, I need to give you so much and look after you so much to feel worthy of love. So I hope that makes sense. So then from that, the enlightening aspects came where my client was able to make sense of that, release it, and we did obviously finish the cutting of the ties process. And at the end of it, they felt a sense of calmness and peace and were able to see this person that they'd been in a relationship with in a different way. So they were able to have a different perception of it because they were no longer holding that trauma bond. So if you think of it as a trauma bond, we attract people, and if it is a dramatic, kind of painful experience, then we have a trauma bond. And when I was training in Meta Health many, many, many years ago, I met somebody. I'm trying to remember his surname to give him the credit, but it was Lars. And if anyone knows him, he's a Meta Health practitioner, and he presented at this conference. And I think it was in Bristol or Birmingham, I can't remember. And he said that we don't fall in love, we fall in trauma. And when he was saying it, I was like, oh my God, that's just awful. Like, we don't actually fall in love, we fall in trauma. But what he meant, and I get it now, is that when we are so fixed immediately and we feel this complete need to be with that person 24/7, like we cannot be separated, and we don't know them, but we think we know them, then we are in that space where we are actually reflecting that trauma. And that's not good and it's not bad. It's not, I'm not judging anyone. I've been there, let me tell you. I've definitely been there. But it just shows that there's a little piece or a big piece, but there's a trauma aspect of an event that led you to believe that about yourself. And then you attract somebody who has the same belief or frequency. So does that make sense to you? As you're listening to this, please comment and let me know. And I'm going to have a look at see if who might be live at the moment. But comment anyway and let me know how that makes sense to you. Because if you can look back at your life and go, oh my goodness, yeah, I didn't feel worthy of this, or I attached myself to this person. That is just an example. And what this person as well, this client of mine, also wanted to do was to really expand themselves out in the world, I'll call it that. And they were feeling the fear of doing that. And afterwards, after we finished the session, and it was literally half an hour, it doesn't take long to heal these things. So after the session, I said to them, how do you feel about these next steps in your life? And they said, yeah, I just feel like really excited about it now. So it just shows that firstly, we can heal anything. And secondly, that these aspects of us are coming up right now to be healed. And the reason for that is that we are in this realm now of needing to bring more light into our field. We're needing to remember who we are, which is a soul having a human experience. But we are meant to live an incredible, free, abundant life. And so all of these little bits, and what the guides call it is almost like dust in your field. when you have these dusty bits in your field, these are little bits of beliefs that are not in the frequency of unconditional love of ourselves. So just have a think for a moment and access maybe for a moment. Where is it in your life that you feel that you could be stepping out more, you could be seen more, and you could be healing parts of that inner child that stops you from doing that? Because the Leo new moon that I happen to be speaking on today is about shining. It's about having the spotlight. It's about being a leader in your field. It's about really shining that childlike inner child joy out to the world. And depending on where it is in your chart will depend on where actually this is falling for you. So for me, it's in my 9th house of sharing wisdom with the world, which is my absolute love. I love doing that. If it's in your 5th house, it could be about romance and about children, about bringing creativity through. If it's in your 11th house, it could be about groups. It could be about friendship groups. It could be about groups you want to run. It could be about anything. So that leads me to say that there's a couple of things I wanted to tell you about. One is that you may not know, but yes, I do work with private clients, but I also hold VIP sessions where you get to spend 2.5 hours with me. People all over the world do these, so we just work on Zoom. And the first part is looking at your astrology and really looking at your mission and your wounded parts of you. The second part is really looking at healing those parts that come up and whatever the guides tell me and whatever your focus is. And the last part, and so we spend a lot of time doing that. And then the last part tends to be where we get to put you in a healing container, which I call the Galactic Crystal Healing Chambers, specifically for you. And so that takes you through and allows you to be held in that new energy for however long, I get told. Maybe sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's longer. And so depending on what you need, you get. And so if you're interested in that, pop over to my website where if you click the button, book a session with Susan, you can see the drop down menu and you can see that you can book that if you choose and if you would like to invest in your life. The other thing I want to tell you is I'm really excited because my very good friend John Burgos invited me back on his show for the 3rd time. And so next Wednesday on the 3rd of August at 9:30 or 9 p.m. UK, I think it's 9 p.m. UK, around about that time. And I'll be sending out a solo email, my newsletter, so you can get all that, and it'll be on social media as well. And it's on his website as well, obviously, Beyond the Ordinary. I'm going to be talking about our ascension. I'll be talking about many things about who we are and how we can really live an abundant life. And also, I will be offering discounted private sessions. So not VIPs, but discounted 30-minute private sessions. But I'm only offering 20. So if you want to get in quick, then definitely look at that show next Wednesday evening, which is the 3rd of August. What else do I want to tell you about? Yep, the retreats for August and September are going to be around healing these parts of us that are showing up in our life, which are these trauma triggers, these parts of us where we've made decisions about ourselves that are holding us back. So on the 8th of August, which happens to be the Lionsgate portal, we start with looking at those triggers of how we see ourselves. The next week, we'll be looking at how we see ourselves in relationships. And then in September, we're going to be looking at our money situation, our abundance situation. And then the second one in September is going to be looking at our mission. So where are those parts of us that stop us from living our mission? And then as we go into October, and I will advertise this a little bit later on, I've put together an incredible 9-week program of alchemizing every area of your life. So you might want to look at that when that comes out, because I would love to have you. So have a think about where this is affecting you. I'm going to pull a card in a moment, actually. I'm going to have a pull a couple of cards and see what the guides have to say. These are Kyle Gray's cards, Gateway of Light Activation. I love these cards. Thank you, Kyle Gray. And see what they say. But have a look at, you know, where you might be triggered, where this event or aspect of you is coming up to be healed in your life, because don't just sit on it. Don't just repeat the patterns. Just watch it. Don't judge yourself and just say, oh my goodness, where do I feel this feeling of need in this situation, or this feeling of fear in this situation? Because it's showing you something. It's showing you a little inner child part of yourself that makes you feel, oh my goodness, can I do this? Can I enter this? Am I good enough for this? Okay. All right. So let's have a look and see what the guides have to say today. I've got a little bit of a sore throat today, new moon in Leo. The throat's always about our expression in the world. Happens to be in my 9th house of sharing my wisdom. My book is literally nearly out, and it's going on an international book tour. Even if I don't go on it, the book's going on it starting in October. So it's really exciting, and yeah, just really exciting, because I wrote the book so that people could heal themselves. Okay, so let's see what the guides say. Let's see. Ashtar. Okay, good. Amazing. So this makes a lot of sense. The Akashic Records. So it says clearing old stories, releasing past lives and freedom. So the Akashic Records, if you don't know what they are, it's sort of like a living library. So, you know, we've had many lifetimes, many times where we've experienced a physical, many times where we've been just energy. And I can definitely talk to you about that deeper if you want to hear more about it. But essentially, we're clearing up those old stories. And so, as we are clearing up those old stories and releasing those past lives, then we are in that space where we have that incredible freedom, not only in our lives, but in our body and in our field. And so, we're able to listen more deeply to where we need to go next. And so I'm going to end this video now, but it's been great to share energy with you and co-create. Look out for my 5-minute frequency tune-up, because the Acturians are going to come in and we are going to clear some old stories for you, and they are going to be using light language. So if that's what you like, if it's your cup of tea, then you can look out for my 5-minute frequency tune-up, which will be going out as a pre-recorded on Friday morning UK around about 7:30 in the morning. So much love for now. Pop over to my website and susankennard.co.uk. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe and share it, because it helps me grow. It helps me reach more people in this world that can't afford to do private sessions, can't afford to come on intuitive healing retreats, can't afford to come on my astrology events. And so I want to share my healing with the world and to share the wisdom that I've learned over the years and what I'm given from the guides. So much love, and see you very soon.